Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Do you recall that the last pandemic happened under the Trump administration? And the next pandemic, by way of a cyber attack, may be coming under the new Trump administration. Interesting timing, for sure. This is what Klaus Schwabs said about a cyber attack being worse than the COVID-19 pandemic. Here goes.
Of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
All right, there you go, Klaus Schwab. A cyber attack would make COVID-19 look like a tiny event, and you know they would clamp down on any sort of liberties, freedoms, should this occur, because it's existential for the United States. The country, the corporations, the institutions are too big to fail. So they're going to do whatever they need to do. And really, this is the biggest threat. And one way they could move us to a one-world currency is by declaring a cyber attack is underway or happening, whether that's from an enemy state or your own government. And they could quickly move in some martial law type things and have a banking pause where they switch to a new currency. Regardless, I think it's interesting. Let's take a look at a couple things. I want to talk about what the FBI's, I think it's Christopher Wray, said as he is leaving office, as Trump is coming into power. And it looks like he kind of just left everything for the Trump administration in terms of the cyber attack threats and the vulnerabilities that the United States has. Now, out of interest's sake, this is the World Economic Forum's website. WeForum, or wefforum.org. And unfortunately, I can't read this article or watch this video because it says I have to accept all the marketing cookies in order to access this content. I don't know if I'm desperate enough. I'm glad my browser is blocking something here. But the title of this video article, whatever it is a cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics. And I would suggest to you with COVID-like end results as well, repercussions, where the government comes down even harder on you and I. And you know what? If you could drive around and order off Amazon and watch movies on Netflix during the pandemic while you were locked down, well, this time while you're locked down, you're not even going to be able to go to the store and buy anything. You won't be able to purchase anything on Amazon because the banking systems are going to be down, the credit card systems. Your internet will be down. Your cell phones will likely not be working. This absolutely is an existential threat to the United States, and they will lock down because of it. So I think Klaus Schwab is 100% correct. I think the time is interesting as we look at Christopher Wray's comments as he leaves office, and obviously timely that as the last pandemic happened during Trump's first administration, maybe the second pandemic, the massive worldwide cyber attack, is going to happen during his second term. They hate him. Whether they allow this to happen from an enemy state or they even are the perpetrators of it, i.e. the government, I think it's likely that this is a possibility, a high likelihood even. Listen to some of these things that Christopher Wray, departing director, says. So on Twitter, X, the Chinese government is pre-positioning on American civilian critical infrastructure to lie in wait on those networks to be in position to wreak havoc and inflict real-world harm at a time and place of their choosing. So you remember the explosives that were set into the pagers and the walkie-talkies of Hezbollah, the terrorists, by Israel. Well, Israel put those explosives in there. They got it into the supply chain. they rerouted those pagers and radios. They did whatever work they did onto them, putting explosives into them, and then they sent them away to their original destination, Hezbollah, Lebanon. And it was years in the making that they were organizing and infiltrating and controlling that supply chain. And it has been decades in the making, really, that China, and their government, their military, has always been aware of this option, the possibility, so why wouldn't they make use of it? For decades, they've been infiltrating our supply chains. In fact, the whole supply chain basically is China, outside of other things, but most of the shipping and products purchased are from China, right? So your router, your computer, your power tools, whatever it may be, most of it, if not all, is either built completely in China or has mostly Chinese parts in it. So what he's saying is, yes, the Chinese government, amongst other enemies who would want to do you harm, United States harm, Canada harm, and that includes even the governments of such in terms of wiretapping, monitoring, surveillance, etc. They have control of this hardware. They have control of this stuff. And he's saying, China had many, many years to do something about this. Ray described the CCP as the greatest long-term threat. Okay, so I think maybe many of us agree to that. The defining threat of our generation, targeting water treatment plants, so they could cause havoc on water treatment plants. The electrical grids, natural gas infrastructure. China has pre-positioned malware throughout American infrastructure. And might I suggest that things as lowly, again, as your internet router, your modem, it has a back door, and there's always a 192.168.1.1 access portal to them, that sort of idea, where technicians can get in, configure their settings. Well, that is accessible to anybody who is able to get anywhere near you and hack over the internet, right? Not near you literally, but who they can attack anybody who doesn't have a suitable firewall. And even then, these nation states have incredible hacking ability and power, and they can get past a lot of that via backdoors, exploits, whatever it may be, right? So it says, of course, while media took Russiagate ball and went full retard, it says, Ray has been fairly consistent about China. In July 2000, he warned that nearly half of the FBI's 5,000 or so counterintelligence investigations are related to Chinese espionage. So they have hardware, software, they have hacks ready to go to be deployed at a time of their choosing to wreak havoc. So when they decide to go, remember, it's not going to be a nuke or an EMP. I don't think there's going to be much for use for EMP anymore. They don't need to. All they need to do is bring down our water systems, bring down our communication systems, and they can do that via cyber attacks. Cyber attacks is the new World War III. EMPs might be used as a side sort of thing. But plausible deniability is easy with cyber attacks, and that's why it's kind of the best way and the easiest and really the cheapest way to trigger World War III or to fight World War III instead of going to nuclear weapons. And far more painful in terms of the results of that. A nuclear weapon can be dropped, it's going to be dropped on major cities or missile silo sites. But the results of that are somewhat controlled and contained. What you have with a grid down, communications down thing is nearly 100% of the civilian population down and having trouble and not accessing information, not accessing medical, supplies and food and things to sustain life, especially those in colder climates. And if the supply chain is not working because communications and cars and things are not working, we will literally all starve. And really, that's the easiest way to take a nation out. So this is a clear and present danger. Could this trigger in the first part of the Trump administration? Again, kind of similar to how the COVID pandemic rolled out mysteriously out of a biowarfare lab. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube right now due to censorship. But that came out of a lab that was funded by the United States government through Fauci's Gain of Research lab, and money, all the money that went towards that. So that was not, all China doing that. The U.S., the Canadian government, even the lab in Winnipeg, had a Chinese scientist, and we also had, we're doing apparently some testing on this gain of research functions, this coronavirus type stuff. And so basically what I'm saying is everybody is against you. You need to be aware of it. You need to be ready for when it comes. Be ready for a world without technology, without communications. Have EMP-proof containers. Have some extra radios in those containers, because you don't know when the strike is coming, whether it's an EMP or a cyber attack. If they're connected to the internet in any way, they could be taken out, destroyed, or just be rendered useless because everybody else's is not, in use. They don't have to take out your computer or your laptop. All they need to do is take out the service provider, your internet provider, for example, or again, brick all the routers and Wi-Fi routers that are in civilians' homes, and that would cause chaos, to the point where the American military, the Canadian military, would have its hands full dealing with the uprising of the citizens of those countries, let alone having to go and figure out and fight an enemy who is doing this to us, by the way. So be prepared. Klaus Schwab said it was coming, and I believe him. I think he is probably one who kind of has an understanding of what's going on in the world and what powers are at play. He probably doesn't know the exact timing, but boy, people hate Trump. That might be a time when they would consider deploying something like that again to destroy Trump, to destroy his legacy, et cetera, et cetera. You don't know what the other side is capable of, and COVID was a man-made thing. So when a cyber attack comes, banking is down, the grid is down, you will have no access, you will have no communications. It will probably be World War III then, because why wouldn't a country use that time, an advantageous time, to attack at that point, maybe with conventional warfare of some sort. So I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.